Morning everyone, and welcome back to a very hot homestead. Probably getting up, I don't know, did you look at the temperature yet?
I think it was already in the 80s.
80s, and it's not even 10 o'clock yet. So, making sure everyone has food, water today. I'm gonna head out right now, I'm gonna feed the pigs, and we're gonna talk a little bit about how on really hot days like today, we're able to keep our pigs cool. Before we get their food though, I'm gonna try and sneak up on them and see if I can show you one of the ways that they beat the heat. So I don't know, maybe you saw that, maybe you didn't. Let's get a bucket of feed out to them and we'll talk about what we're doing here. We're still feeding our pigs the Purina and Nature's Match sow and pig. They're a sponsor of the channel, so thanks to them for doing that this season for us. Give you a helpful tip. A 5-gallon bucket of pig feed is about 25 pounds. So I dumped one full bucket in the feeder. Now I'm going to take the other half of that bag, I'm going to put it in the woods. Boom, 2 buckets, 50 pounds. So pigs are a lot like dogs in that they don't have sweat glands. And as humans, we know that when the temperature climbs, we start sweating. I guess I'll give you a quick science lesson. The whole idea with that is as the sweat evaporates off your skin, it cools your body. It's called evaporative cooling. And that's a great way to cool your body down if it's hot out and you need to cool off. Yeah. And for humans and anything that doesn't have hair, that system tends to work just fine. But if you're a dog or a pig, which has hair and fur, the breeze running over your skin, which would be wet from that sweat, it doesn't work out so well. So over the years, those animals have evolved just to not have sweat glands. Got some lurkers. They see the bucket. So on a day like today where I'm sweating like crazy, and that's helping me cool off, the pigs are not able to do that and they can very easily overheat. Now the standard method pigs use to cool themselves off is kind of similar to the sweating that we do that's naturally supplied. Pigs will dig themselves a wallow and wallow in it. A wallow is essentially a hollowed out spot in the ground where water is able to collect. They can splash around in it, they can cover themselves in mud, and the mud protects them from the sun for one, but that mud also, as it dries on them, the moisture evaporates and it cools their bodies down. If the pigs don't have a spot in their enclosure where water naturally will collect and they can form their wallow, they will take the water that you give them and they will intentionally dump that on the ground. They'll try and flip it over. If it's got nipples, they're super smart. They will learn how to hold the nipples down. And you can see this one's actually doing a little rooting in front of it. And they will turn the area in front of their waterer and the region around it into a wallow. Now, normally there's nothing wrong with the pigs forming a wallow in an area like that, as long as, you know, for us, we plan or try to plan on putting their water where we know it's going to be okay for them to kind of make a mess and get it muddy and do that whole thing. And this year there was no problem either, aside from the fact that we kept them in the 16 by 16 enclosure longer than we would have liked, and it only got hot once before the streak that we're in now. It was fairly manageable. We were able to keep adding wood chips, and we had a spot for the pigs where, you know, they were able to cool off, but it wasn't unmanageable as far as being gross and muddy, and well, it's always going to be muddy, but they pee and poop in their wallows too a lot of the time, and that can get pretty funky. But you can see a lot of them are done eating right now, and they're actually getting ready to start laying around in this wallow and cool off, because we're getting into the hot part of the day. Luckily for us, this whole area that they're in, including the pen area up front where their food and water is, this stays shady for 90% of the day. There's only a few times where this gets sun. So their wallow up here is nice and protected. But we do something else for them as well, which on really hot days helps to keep them safe and comfortable. See, we feed them in their normal spot, which is over there. However, I also put some dishes of feed out in the woods to encourage them to get into here, into the shade, and lounge about. They've actually done a great job on figuring this out already on their own. You know, it's pretty warm the first few days we had them out here, and they formed a gigantic kind of clearing that they've cleared out where they actually sleep every night and lounge about during the day. Back in here, you can actually stop biting me. Back in here, you can see this spot under this pine tree. It's nice and shady. They've actually taken all the leaf litter and spread it out, gotten it out of here so that they're down on the cool earth. So you got leaf litter here, leaf litter over there, back behind that way. But this area, which is what I was trying to show you earlier when I was sneaking up, hello, was what they've kind of established their home base as. It's protected from the rain. It's slightly higher up off the ground, so it's not going to be wet, so they're not going to be sleeping in mud. You know, when you're raising pigs, you constantly drill those three things into your head: food, water, and shelter. And a lot of times people think that shelter means shelter from rain, shelter from cold, and not a lot of people realize that shelter also includes shelter from sun and shelter from heat. Those are going to be just as catastrophic to your herd if you let them kind of get away from you. Pigs can get sunburned, pigs can get heat stroke. You want to make sure that in times of heat your pigs are cared for, and that involves obviously giving them plenty of cold fresh water, but also providing them a place where they can get away from the heat, whether that's a wallow that they've built themselves or whether it's a cool forested spot like this where they can get in the shade and get those leaves moved apart and get themselves down to the cool forest floor, which helps cool them off. While it might not be a standard wallow that you're used to seeing in your typical barnyard pigs, this is the natural environment that pigs in the wild will frequent and will head to when the weather gets hot. In the forest like this, they can get the cooling effect of rooting around down to cool, damp earth and also have that shade on top of them. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully, if you're new to pigs, this video gave you a little bit of insight on taking care of them when it's really hot outside. They keep following me around because they think I'm going to have more treats for them. So I'm going to head inside and hang out for a little while, let these guys get settled, cool off, stay nice and mellow in the woods for the day. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you're not already subscribed to the channel. We'd love to have you along and hopefully teach you a thing or two. As I always say, thanks for watching and have a great day.